Inventions of war can change their way. We imagine our lives will be. The March family are on their way. Make Joe, Beth, and Amy.
This morning, Beth was taken hostage by a runaway slave, but he let her go right away because he could see that we wanted to help him. His name is John, and we're hiding him in our cellar. You see, he'd been forced to serve in the Confederate Army against his will. He'd managed to slip past their sentries and escape, but now they're searching for him. And if he's caught, he'll be severely punished. But worst of all, he'll lose his freedom and be a slave again.
You in there!
It's all right.
Open up this door!
Go
Open
on.
up, you hear me?
Well, what do you want? What is it?
We're searching for a fugitive, ma'am, a deserter.
There's no such person here.
Sorry for the inconvenience, but I have to search every house, ma'am.
I've already told you he's not here.
I heard you the first time, but I've been ordered to search every house in this neighborhood, and that is exactly what I'm gonna do.
And if I refuse, what then?
Under martial law, you don't have that privilege, ma'am. Now step aside.
There's no one here but me and my girls. You're wasting your time, gentlemen.
I've been patient so far, but now I insist that you open the door and step aside.
Under the circumstances, I suppose I've no choice.
That's right, ma'am. You don't.
Very well.
Follow her, Lance.
Corporal! That's Hannah, our maid. She's been with us for years. She's like one of the family. If she'd seen him, she would have told me.
You never can tell. Excuse me, ladies. This won't take long.
My mother and sisters were almost too scared to breathe. The Confederate officer was standing directly on top of the trapdoor of the cellar where John was hiding.
I questioned the maid and searched the kitchen, but there's no sign of him. She's the only one in there, sir.
Very well, Finch. Search all the rooms downstairs.
Yes, sir.
You go and search the rooms upstairs, Woodward.
Yes, sir.
Please don't be harsh with my girls. They're scared enough as it is.
I understand. Well, what are you waiting for?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there's no one up there except my daughters, Corporal. I swear it.
He could be up there without your knowing it. Now, if you'll excuse me, ma'am.
Oh.
By the way, miss, you play beautifully. Please do go on.
Go on, dear. Play something.
Please, Lord, please don't let them find me. I can't go back. I can't.
That room at the end of the hallway. Take a look, Woodward.
Yes, sir.
How nicely she plays.
And with all those soldiers around. If it were me, I'd be too scared.
Search every room except for this one, sir.
Excuse me. We're looking for a runaway Negro, miss.
Well, he isn't here.
I warn you, miss, if you lie to us, you could be sent to prison.
What I've told you is the truth.
Very well, then, young lady. Will you swear that the man we're looking for isn't somewhere in this house?
The only strangers here are you and your men.
You there. The young artist. You know where he's hiding, don't you?
No, I don't. If I'd started to cry, he'd have known I was lying. So I held back my tears, picked up my pencil, and started to draw again. Thank goodness I had my sketch pad handy. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened.
Would you like me to do a complete search of the room, sir?
No need for that, but do a thorough search of every other room on this floor.
Sir!
By the way, young lady, for what it's worth, If drawing portraits is your hobby, I suggest you find another.
Amy, you were wonderful. Amy! Oh, Amy, dear, what's the matter?
Woodward, take 3 men and search the grounds. The rest of you men search the outbuildings. Now move out. We haven't got all day.
Oh, Amy, darling, I'll take you to your bed.
What happened, Meg?
Nothing, dear, just rest, all right?
All right.
Smells awful good. Ah, that's mighty fine soup. We're looking for a Negro deserter. We know he's hiding somewhere around here. Thought maybe you might have seen him.
Nope, haven't seen anybody like that. But if I had, I'd have helped him every way I could think of to get away.
You black folks that have been freed up here in the North all talk real big. For now. Not for much longer, though. After we win the war and hang that traitor Lincoln, you's all gonna be slaves again, like you're supposed to be.
We'll never be slaves again. Not ever.
John was scared to death, certain that the rebel soldiers would keep on searching until they found him. We were all frightened too, of course, but it seemed that John was safe, at least for the moment.
That's lovely. I haven't heard a piano in 2 years. Well, I better have a look at that fireplace.
Fireplace?
Sometimes they hide up the chimney. Excuse me, miss.
See anything, Lieutenant?
No, ma'am, not a thing. Well done. Young lady, if I may, I'd like to request a favorite of mine. Would you mind playing Home Sweet Home for me?
Go on, dear.
Sir, we searched all the outbuildings and there's no sign of him.
Any luck, Woodward?
No, sir.
Very well. The young lady plays piano quite beautifully, doesn't she?
What? Huh?
How very strange. There sat Beth playing for the Confederate officer who'd forced his way into our home, a man who believed he had the right to enslave other men simply because their skin was darker than his. And yet, he wasn't an evil man. In fact, he reminded me of Father, a man who was fighting for what he believed in and who missed his home and family very much.
Jimmy, time for supper. All right, Grandma, I'm coming. Whoa, whoa. Grandma.
Oh, Jimmy.
I love you.
It seemed like they'd given up looking for John, but then, all of a sudden...
Uh-huh.
At that moment, it seemed certain that the lieutenant had discovered the secret door hidden beneath the rug.
Aren't you ashamed of yourself? Ma'am, I'm afraid your carpet's ruined.
Corporal Baker, you're to report to headquarters right away.
We're on our way.
But John will get away, sir.
Yes, that's quite true, Finch. There's nothing we can do. We've got a war to fight.
Can you hear me, John?
I hear you just fine.
The soldiers are gone, but you'd better stay there till we're sure they're not going to come back.
All right, I'll be waiting. It's a blessed miracle. I'm free now. I'm a free man. Freedom. Yes, sir, I'm free. Thanks.
There are still several soldiers patrolling the streets, but now that it's dark, we can slip by them.
Mrs. March, I'll never forget what you done for me. I thank you, every one of you.
Nonsense, it was nothing. Now I think you'd better hurry.
I made a little something for your trip.
Oh, thanks, Hannah. I appreciate it.
I've included $20 along with the food. You've a long way to go.
I can't tell you how grateful I am.
Mrs. March has given you that money as a gift. But if you're the man I think you are, you'll pay her back just as soon as you can. Right?
Right. Ain't no doubt about that.
I won't hear of it. It's a gift, and so it shall remain.
Well, I appreciate that, ma'am. But I'll pay you back someday.
Those soldiers might come back. We'd better hurry.
Yes'm. Y'all keep playing, Miss Beth, you hear? You got talent.
All right. Life is funny sometimes. The desperate, frightened man who had taken Beth hostage was now happier than anyone I'd ever seen. For his prayers had been answered. He was a free man. Most of the soldiers left the next morning, so even though the rebels were still in control, there were no more searches or patrols, and we all breathed a sigh of relief and carried on as usual. Karen has a new doll.
Oh, let's go see it, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like? Have you seen it?
Not yet.
No, 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 no. That will never do. It's dreadful. If I have to listen to this cat for one more second, I'll go mad! Aha!
Uh-oh. No, Milky Ann. Don't you dare. Here now. In the box, not on the floor. No, no, Milky Ann, not over there. You simply must learn to use your box. No, Milky Ann.
Excuse me, but I can't write with all this screeching going on.
But she hasn't learned to use the box yet.
My novel will never be finished at this rate.
A novel, Joe? To write something that long, it must be a wonderful story.
It's the best idea for a story I've ever had, but it's awfully difficult to write with Milky Ann crying like that.
Oh, please, Joe, won't you tell me what happens in your story? I'm just dying to know what it's about.
Well, I might. Writers don't usually like to talk to anyone about what they're writing. The more you talk about it, the less creative you'll be. But in this case, I'll make an exception.
I'm honored, Miss March.
As well you should be, Miss March.
Well, what's it about?
I haven't quite worked out the ending yet, but there is one thing I can tell you. It's terribly frightening.
I can't imagine being more scared than I was the day that Father saw those rebel soldiers. I declare I was trembling like a leaf.
Christopher Columbus, if you think that was scary, just wait till you hear my story. It's full of horror and terror and fun things like that.
To tell you the truth, Joe, I'm not terribly fond of stories like that.
Then perhaps I oughtn't tell you about it. I wouldn't want to upset you.
Tell me just a little bit of it, all right?
Well, the best part is the murder in the haunted castle. It's been deserted for 100 years. But in the cellar, deep underground in the darkness, is the casket of the Count.
He's buried in the cellar?
Exactly. His treasure was buried with him, but when the casket is open, the treasure is missing, and so is the Count.
Stop, Joe. I've heard quite enough.
But I've hardly begun to tell you what the story's about.
I'm sorry, Joe, but I'll have nightmares for a week if I hear any more.
Uh-oh.
No, Milky Ann, not there. You must learn to use the box. There, just in time.
I do believe it's working, Beth.
Now listen carefully. The box. You've got to use the box.
Well, it looks like she's finally learned her lesson, Beth. An historic moment indeed. Congratulations.
It's about time.
Beth, there's one problem.
What do you mean, Joe?
Hannah doesn't like cats at all.
My goodness, I had no idea. I knew that Meg didn't like them, but I didn't know about Hannah.
She's terribly frightened of cats even more than Meg.
Milky Ann, you hear that? Please stay away from Hannah and Meg, all right?
If she wanders into the kitchen, Hannah's going to have a fit.
A little more salt. Get away from me, you hear? Scat! Shoo! Go on! Get out of here! Ain't no cats allowed in the kitchen! Yeah. Go on, get! Scat cat! Go on! Now I'm warning you, don't take one step closer, you hear me? Now go on, scat! Shoo! Now looky here, cat. Why don't you go and bother somebody else? Now I got it. Scat, chew, scat. Go on now. Go on and plague somebody else.
Has Aunt March responded to Father's letter yet, Mother?
No, dear, I'm afraid not. But the mail service hasn't been the same since the war began. She might never have received it. That's why I've decided to write her about it myself.
Then we're leaving York after all, aren't we, Mother?
Yes, that's right. And we're not the only ones. There are many families moving away until the crisis is over. Mrs. Walker and her family are moving to Boston, and Mrs. Johnson is moving to Pittsburgh.
Alice is moving to Vermont.
Why is everyone so afraid?
There's bound to be a battle in this area, Meg. The Confederates are gathering their forces here, and our army must prevent them from attacking the capital.
I've heard that there might be a battle at Gettysburg.
That's your father's opinion as well.
Gettysburg's only 10 miles away. No wonder everyone's afraid.
So you see, Meg, there's no longer any doubt that it'll be dangerous for us to stay.
Well, I suppose we must move then, more's the pity. Oh, scat! Milky Ann, stop that! Away!
I hate to leave our home as much as you do. Nonetheless, we must move to Newcourt as soon as we can. I've no doubt that Aunt March will find a suitable lodging. She's lived there all her life, so I'm certain she's bound to find a lovely home for our family.
I don't understand why Aunt March should want to do so much for us, Mother. She hardly knows us.
Well, she's always been quite fond of your father. He believes that she'll help us however she can.
When we go, we'll have to leave most of our things here, I suppose.
Well, we won't take any of the furniture, of course. As for the rest, we'll take what we can. We'll pack everything other than personal belongings and take them to the station to be sent to Newcourt by freight.
You're talking about the station at Gettysburg, right, Mother?
Yes, that's right.
But, Mother, it's likely that's where the battle will take place.
What is important now is to gather up what we're taking along. We can decide how to get our things to Newcourt after we pack.
I'm curious about our financial situation. Are you sure we can afford it, Mother?
Why do you ask, Meg?
It'll be quite expensive to move.
True enough, but don't worry. We've got enough money to get us to Newcourt and then some. You'll be happy to know that financially we're quite secure. Your father invested his money quite wisely, you see.
Invested?
Your father has invested his money with Mr. James, who owns the shoe factory. He's a wonderful man and your father's best friend.
But Father knows nothing about shoes.
That's true. But when Mr. James told Father that his factory had been chosen to make shoes for the army, Father helped him expand his operation in exchange for some of the profits.
Oh, no! Oh!
Huh? Go on, Mother.
The point is, we have enough money to see us through and none of you need worry about it. Now, girls, I must finish this letter or we won't be moving anywhere. And when I'm finished, will you mail it for me, Meg?
Of course.
Even if they are the enemy, their uniforms are quite handsome.
How nice to see you again, Mrs. Evans.
I haven't seen you and Louisa for some time.
Hello, Meg.
Good afternoon.
Meg, dear, how is your mother and your family?
Fine.
I take it you'll be coming to our party tomorrow night.
I'd planned on going, but since the rebels are occupying the town now, I assumed you'd delay it for a while.
Whatever for. Our family's given a dance party during the first week of July for as long as I can remember. A family tradition is more important than a few soldiers, isn't it?
Right.
It'll be great fun. It'll be a splendid party, but of course many of our eligible young men can't be there because of the war.
It's such a lovely day. I decided a long walk would be just the thing, and since I was in the neighborhood, I thought I'd drop in to see if my dress is ready yet.
Oh, yes. I just finished it a moment ago.
Thanks.
Is that your new dress, Meg?
And just in time, too. It looks like the Evans are having their party after all.
I'll go tell the family. You must put it on as soon as you get home, Meg.
Huh?
What on earth is taking her so long?
Don't be cross. It isn't every day a girl gets a new dress. When Meg saw herself in that beautiful dress, she began to imagine all sorts of things, until a sudden loud noise brought her back into the real world again.
Oh.
I heard the noise too, but at that moment I was too enchanted by Meg's dress to give it a moment's notice. I thought it was thunder, but if I'd been listening more closely, I'd have known it was something else entirely.
Meg!
It's lovely! It's beautiful, really it is. As it turned out, the noise we had heard was the sound of cannons. The Battle of Gettysburg had just begun.
Fortunes of war can change their way. We imagine our lives will be the march from a